Is this working? Very good. You guys like that thumbnail? It's pretty cool, huh? I really like these thumbnails. They're a lot of fun. They are a kick in the pants. I'm trying to put them on Patreon every day. So if you guys want it, I only did it because people asked me for the thumbnails. I tried to attach them in YouTube in the chat, and I can't. I could only attach a link. So the only way I know how to do it is through Patreon. So I'm still navigating it, but I put the videos in there, the description, the title, and then the thumbnail. So it's, if you want, I have to charge a couple bucks because it takes a little bit of my time. That's about it. So if you don't want to, don't even sweat it. I don't care. Hey, Madalena, how are you? Trump for prison. Yes. I should have put the thumbnail up while I'm doing this. I am good. It's funny. It's the last time I'm going to talk about Brian because he actually called me yesterday. I emailed him and it said I don't want to talk to him anymore. I've stepped away from that whole thing, and I don't want to get into a can of anything other than I know what I was told, and I want to be a person of integrity. And I just said, Brian, I wish you the best of luck. I left it at that. Oh, way home from college. Congratulations. Ironically, my kid is starting, he just got accepted. So he might be going to Oregon. I'm not sure yet. He wants to do sports management. Ah, he's back, Eli. How are you? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Support from West of Asia. Holy smokes. Well, thank you for that. Yes. So the reason I wanted to talk about this today was, what's interesting? A quick personal story. When I grew up, and for those of you that may not have seen my video on my birthday, my dad was very abusive. He would beat us if we ate at the dinner table. He would stab us with the fork on our hands, or he would grab us by our necks and throw us on the ground. He was a horrible human being. And every Sunday, my dad would put on his fancy clothes and get in his Eddie Bauer and go to church and praise Jesus. And I could not stomach that as a kid. It's just so vile. And to see as a former Republican what this party accepts, it's, I mean, look at it, right? So he is a rapist. He's very likely a pedophile. He joked about dating his own daughter, who he would probably have sex with because he's a sick man. He caused an insurrection from telling so many lies that people thought the election was stolen. 5 officers died. Many officers are permanently disabled from working. The dude literally stole from cancer charities, children that are dying of cancer. Stole from them. Asked for the execution of 5 black men in New York City. But this is their great Christian. But somehow, voting for Pete Buttigieg, it's just a bridge too far because it's outside God's design. I mean, I think about the moral depravity and just the absolute stupidity that you have to be as a human being to think that that's Christianity. Just think about it, right? Or they're more upset about a tampon in a boy's bathroom, right? Or a racist white girl that finishes 6th place, not 5th place, because she needs to be the white victim. Or transgenders, or Antifa. And then the kicker, they think that God saved his orange ear. Now, think about this for a second here. So, God stood by while 7 million Jews were murdered during the Holocaust. World War One, World War Two, over 8,000 black people died from lynchings. 16,000 died during the Trail of Tears. The population of Native Americans was originally somewhere between 50 and 100 million. As of 1900, it was just over 200, right over around 200,000. 1.4 million black people died on the Middle Passage. 40,000 people died from gun violence in this country. 1,800. But somehow, God came down from heaven and said, you know what? That piece of shit that rapes women and molests little girls, that's my guy. I mean, I want you to think about the level of stupidity and ignorance that you have to live in order to believe this shit. It's sick. They're sick people. They are mentally unstable. They just are. They need to seek professional help. They're nuts. They only care that he was a white man. That's it. That's all this is. When I have conversations on TikTok with people, it's always the same angry, pissed off white men. It always comes down to some BS. Basically, she was a black woman. It always boils down to that. But this is their version of Christianity. Am I going to interview Tom Powell? I have not reached out to Tom. I have spoken to, what's her name? Jamie something. She's the lady that she interviews. She makes videos with her 12-year-old that sits next to her, and she watches these right-wing nuts to keep her kids from getting red pilled. I forgot her name. Is Jamie something. I'm also talking to what's her name? I always forget her name. Permaculture? I'm saying it wrong. You guys know her. I always forget her first name. Park Rose Permaculture. You guys probably follow her. I talked to her a little bit today. So she's been really busy with ice stuff up in Oregon. So at some point we're going to get together. Yeah. Park Rose. I talked to her today. We talk on Discord. So we're going to get together. She had a problem with her TikTok account yesterday. Somebody hacked her account and hacked her email. I don't know what happened, but it was pretty bad. So yeah, we're going to talk to her at some point as well. And hopefully Graham Plattner. I really like him. But it takes time to get a hold of people. Paul is going down the laundry list of sins Donald Trump has committed. Well, there is a lot. Oh, Tom, I will put Tom on the list. I'm working at it. It takes a little bit of time. I'm working on my website and the podcast at the same time. So that's that. Oh, yes. Speaking of which, yeah, in TMF, it's interesting, isn't it? Some of the most compassionate, kindest, and I'm just going to use this as a metaphor, Christ-like people in this country are atheists or agnostic or Muslims or people that don't even believe in God. Yeah, isn't that ironic? Because morality doesn't come from a book. It comes from in here. And they don't have it. If you look at this country and say it's a Christian nation and really look at what it is, and it goes back to the stupidity, right? That they only want to see what they want to see. So you're talking Jim Crow, slavery, the just murder of Native Americans, the genocide, right? We took the land from Hawaii. We stole the land in a war from Mexico. Women had no rights. The 3/5 clause where black people were worth less than a white man. Only 21-year-old white man had rights. But somehow that's a Christian nation. These people believe this because they're stupid. Their version of Christianity is white supremacy, wrapped in a cross. Yeah, the Song of Solomon. Solomon was the son of King David. He wrote the book of Proverbs, the book of wisdom. Yeah, Donald Trump is an antichrist. He is. Is he the antichrist? Probably not. He's too stupid. But like my thumbnail says, Trump and Satan have a lot in common. They both believe in God and they've broken all the commandments. They treat people like absolute garbage and they only care about themselves. They have a lot in common. A lot in common. All right, this is their great Christian that was sent by Jesus to be fishers of men. Listen to this brainiac.
Okay. You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. And you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favorite Bible verses are.
Well, and why. I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal. So I don't want to get into verses.
Wait, I'm sorry. I want to stop it there. The dude left his third failed marriage at home with their 2-week-old son and banged Stormy Daniels in Las Vegas. That was fine, but somehow telling the guy what your favorite book in the Bible is too personal. That's what this dumbass just said. I digress.
I don't want to get into. There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite.
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like.
I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal, I think.
Probably equal. I would bet my house he has never read an entire book in the Bible. Literally, I would bet he's an absolute con man. And look, those two idiots are just sitting there waiting for him to say something like, yes, you're the white man. Talking about gay people. That's what they're worried about. It's the gays. They're sitting there with a felon and an adjudicated rapist. And the guy that was sent from God can't even tell you what his favorite book in the Bible is because it's too personal.
I think it's just the whole Bible is an incredible. I joke very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
Yeah, it's very special. What the Bible is to him is a weapon to weaponize his dumbass, inbred, hillbilly, trailer park trash base into scaring them that a black man was in the White House instead of picking their cottons in the fields. That's all he is. That's all those two guys want is a straight white America. TMF, he's popular because he's the Grand Wizard. He just is. He's a white supremacist. And I talk about this all the time, and it's why we're here. It wasn't the price of eggs. It wasn't gas. Because they don't want a white minority. It scares the hell out of them. EK asked, why do some black people support this guy? Tim Scott, Mike Tyson, 50 Cent, Candace Owens. I could only give you my opinion from talking to people. My opinion. And yes, I'm going to have unpopular opinions. I believe that some non-white people voted for him because they want to be in proximity to whiteness. Candace Owens is a grifter. Byron Donalds is a grifter. I'm just keeping it 100. The 92% that vote for him because they're smart. But you had some people that weren't white that voted for him because they got a stimulus check. They think, and this went for some Latinos and Latinas, not all of them, they're not a monolith, that if they would be close to whiteness, that the white man would look at them as equal. And what you're seeing now are the people in Minnesota, like the Somalians, the Latinos for Trump, saying, oh, I didn't think that would happen to me. I just thought it was the bad people. But we told them that he thinks that you're bad because you're not white, and they didn't want to listen. So now they're in the find out stage of F around and find out. Have you seen his cabinet? It's 50 shades of white. Go look at all of his meetings. White. Look at his party. White. This isn't a bug. It's a feature. He wants to make America white again. He took slavery out of the Smithsonian. Why? Because he doesn't want white people to be upset about actual history. Why did Pete Hegseth give a medal to the people who murdered Lakota on Wounded Knee? Because he wanted to reward the white man for murdering innocent women and children. Why did they put up pictures of Robert E. Lee who fought for slavery? Because he's a racist. Kanye West is a Nazi. He just is. He literally is. His content, it's not even debatable. It's what he is. He wants to be a token. He just does. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. He thinks that if he's close to whiteness, that he's going to be accepted somehow. I disagree with me. That's okay. I'm just saying from conversations that I've had, based on putting people's input together, that's all I can figure, is that they think that he somehow cares about them. This guy wouldn't even rent to them in New York City. There were stories from people that they did an experiment. They sent a black person up, and the person at the desk told them that we can't rent to you. She said, why? There's a sign. He goes, oh, we forgot to take the sign down. We're actually full. And then the next day they sent a white person in there. Oh, I'd like to rent. Oh, sure. Here you go. Here's the paperwork. And they said, why did you do this? Well, Donald Trump didn't want us to rent to the blacks. This is why he got sued. This is why he didn't admit he was wrong, but he was forced to change his rental policies because he was discriminating against black people. I mean, the guy literally asked for the Central Park 5 to be murdered. He spent $15,000. Why? Why? What evidence did he see? It's because they were black. He's a white supremacist, people. He just is. And until we address that, not to go on a tangent, but that's just the reality of it here. I don't know Barry Cunningham. Sorry. Owens is not a grifter. She's a journalist outside. Candace Owens is a grifter. And if you can't see that, then I don't know what to tell you. Candace Owens has tapped into his white supremacist base that want to make America white again. And she does the same thing that every person on the right does. The Tim Pools, the Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlsons, Fox News. They find the worst of the worst of the worst. And then they scare the white people into thinking that their version of traditional family values is going away. That's what it is, right? Transgenders. None have come home transgender. 0.001% of transgenders in sports. Antifa. There was an interview today. They asked the guy. I think it was on. Hold on. Where is this donkey? There was a guy today asked about. Hold on. Anyway, he was asked. He was a cabinet member, and somebody on the Democratic side asked him, "Tell me, where is this Antifa at?" Let me see if we can find it. Hold on. It was on. I found it on Blue Sky somewhere. Here it is.
That's our primary concern right now.
All right, that's what President Trump did. What does the FBI say?
I'm just.
I think it's Benny Thompson.
We look at the domestic terrorist threat that we're facing right now. What I see from my position is that's the most immediate violent threat that we're facing on the domestic side.
So where is the Antifa headquartered?
What we're doing right now with the organization.
Where in the United States does Antifa exist? If it's a terrorist.
He had no answer. Well, it's cutting out. Hold on. I'm trying to see if I can find something on. God, who is that? Benny Johnson? I thought that was Benny Johnson. Yeah, it is Benny Thompson. Oh, Benny, hold on. Hold on, I got to find it. Oh, here it is. Hold on, I found it. So we're clear. Antifa is not an organization, it's an ideology. Like Christianity is an ideology. Antifa is not an organization, but he's convinced his stupid whites that there's another boogeyman coming. Watch, this is Benny Thompson asking him.
Any domestic terrorist organization that poses a threat to the homeland as we speak.
I'd say the first one, President Trump had just announced executive order domestic terrorist organization, Antifa. That's our primary concern right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's what President Trump did. What does the FBI say?
We share the same view. When you look at the data right now, you look at the domestic terrorist threat that we're facing. Right now, what I see from my position is that's the most immediate violent threat that we're facing on the domestic side.
So where is Antifa headquartered?
What we're doing right now with the organization.
Where in the United States does Antifa exist? If it's a terrorist organization and you've identified it as number one.
We are building out the infrastructure right now.
So what does that mean? We're trying to get the information. You say Antifa is a terrorist organization. Tell us as a committee, how did you come to that? Where do they exist? How many members do they have in the United States as of right now?
Well, that's very fluid. It's ongoing for us to understand that. The same, no different than Al Qaeda and ISIS.
No, I don't want you. I'll ask one question, sir. I just want you to tell us. If you said Antifa is the number one domestic terrorist organization operating in the United States, I just need to know where they are, how many people. I don't want a name. I don't want anything like that. Just how many people have you identified with the FBI that Antifa is made of?
Well, the investigations are active.
So you wouldn't come to this committee and say something you can't prove, I know.
What the?
I know you wouldn't do that. But you did.
It doesn't exist. I mean, Jesus Christ. He knew that Trump is an idiot. And he's like, so this is what people like Candace Owens do in the Tim Pools, right? They create a problem, right? Antifa, the radical left, George Soros. And then they go, oh, let's find some reason to blame these people and create the narrative around it. It's like creating a title for a movie and then making an entire movie to make up the problem. It's bullshit. It is. It's to scare his white base because they're stupid. They're too busy having sex with their cousins and complaining about tariffs that don't exist. Still waiting for douche checks from Doge. They're still waiting for his healthcare plan. Yeah, Antifa means anti-fascist. I mean, just think of how stupid this is. There is an entire, a domestic terrorist group is the biggest threat to this country that is anti-fascism. I mean, just think about the sheer stupidity of this. George Soros is some old white fart. I don't know. I don't even know who the hell he is. But this is what they do. It's all fear-mongering. Kristi Noem was asked the same thing today. It's all fear-mongering. Here, watch. It was Kristi Noem. Where is it? Trying to find it here. Is this it? Watch, because this goes to the crux of the problem, because I'm going to change topic. ICE deportation is not about law, right? Because they voted for an adjudicated rapist and a felon and very likely a pedophile. It was about white people not being here. Now, watch this question, because this goes to them getting their panties in a twat about creating a boogeyman for something. This was Kristi Noem being interviewed today. This is a YouTube short, so I don't know. Just ignore all the other gobbledygook. Just listen to it really quick. Really? Oh, you couldn't hear that? Oh, it said it shared. Basically, she said that no, this person served our country, got a Purple Heart, and was wounded in battle. They deported him. Oh, sorry. I don't know why. It said it. Well, I don't know what happened. But basically, she deported him. And instead of asking the answer to the question, she goes, I want everybody to be here legally. It's because he wasn't white. There was another story of a gentleman, and I don't have it pulled up. He was I gotta find it online. It was a gentleman that was I think he was black. He was in, I think it was Minnesota or Michigan. It was snowing. He walked outside and he saw guys in masks and he ran. They arrested him and they held him. They said, "Why did you run from us?" Well, because you're in a mask. Because I don't know who you are. Because they racially profiled him because he wasn't white enough. Oh, thank you, Leo. But that's what this is about. We're here. Listen, we're here because of we have a couple problems, right? We have a lot of rich people that are screwing everybody here. We're all being screwed. All of us. We have 3 people that own half the wealth. 3. We got 2/3 of this country that live paycheck to paycheck. We have 12% of this country that need taxes just to eat. We have 14 million kids that go hungry. We have 40,000 people that die from gun violence. And we have about 800,000 homeless. We're all getting screwed. Nobody can afford to live. And you have the Democrats, as imperfect as they are, that say we need to tax the hell out of these rich people. And you have the Republicans that are more worried about fighting these populist battles and fear-mongering to their racist, inbred, dumbass base. They're highest in crime, highest in poverty, lowest in happiness. They live in crappy countries, states, you can call it a country, that are mooches from the rest of the country. And they demonize California and New York. We're the 4th largest economy in the world in California. But they always find a way to find the very, very, very bad stuff in it. And that's what they've done. They've convinced part of this country that the rich people aren't screwing us. It's the brown people. Let's just be real. They put them in office. Their lives are crap. They have no money, but they keep voting for Republicans because they want to own the libs and because abortion is a bridge too far. And they convince their base that brown people busting their ass, doing hardworking jobs that white people are too lazy to do, picking your almonds, picking your avocados, busting their butts, that somehow that person in the field that's undocumented is why your life is shit. But the white man who is an adjudicated rapist and a convicted felon and commits tax fraud, somehow he gets to have the nuclear codes, but it's not racism. Yeah, it is. It's all racism. It's white supremacy. It just is. It's crap. And you're right. Somebody said, Toll King, why can't Democrats talk like this? I agree with you. That's why I'm an independent. I think the Democrats suck. I like their policies. I want universal health care. I want a living wage. I want to tax the shit out of rich people. I want to tax billionaires out of existence. I don't want anybody to be shot by a gun. I don't want people to die from lack of health care. That's not radical, but the Democrats are playing politics. Fair question. How many Democrats said something after the president called the reporter, "Shut up, piggy"? I didn't hear any. I can imagine what Hakeem Jeffries would say. Well, Mr. President, if it's okay, I'd hate to ruffle your feathers, but if you wouldn't mind issuing an apology, this is a strongly worded letter. That's the problem. When you allow this grand wizard white supremacist to keep saying this crap over and over again, and you don't push back, you let the squeaky wheel be the loudest thing. If you have a door hinge and you don't put WD-40 on it, what happens? It just keeps getting squeaky and squeaky and squeaky and squeaky. Example, the orange piggy in the White House, right? They're coming home as a different gender. How many Democrats said, hey, listen, you orange pig, give me the names of 50 children in grades K through 12 that came home a different gender? None of them did that. Give me the names of 50 schools that teach CRT in grades K through 12. None of them did that. Give me the names of 50 black pilots that aren't qualified as DEI hires. None of them asked for that. That's part of the reason we're here. Because they have no sack and they have no backbone for the women. They are a joke when it comes to fighting. They're like wet noodles. AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Tallarico, awesome. I love Salisbury in New Mexico, and I really like this guy in Maine that's running, the oyster farmer, Graham Plattner. But there's not enough of them. Because what's going to happen is somebody made a comment earlier about how their dad was upset that Hakeem Jeffries took a victory lap. I was mad too when the Democrats had that night. And Hakeem Jeffries didn't even support him until like a week before the election, and it was half-ass. And even after he gave this BS speech on the Capitol, the working class, the middle class, this was a great night for the Democrats, the working class, the same bullshit that he always gives. He didn't even mention New York City. Didn't even mention his name. But he took credit for it. He didn't do a damn thing. He didn't even endorse Zohran Mamdani. He's a clown. He's part of the establishment. They don't want to let the establishment go. Look at Maine. Maine is a perfect example. I really like Graham Plattner. I think he's just a regular dude. I believe he's disabled. He was an oyster farmer. He just wants to fix the system and make people's lives better. And who did Chuck Schumer endorse? 70, I think she's like 75-year-old or 76-year-old Janet Mills. Why? Why is like an 8,000-year-old dinosaur that should be in Jurassic Park nominating another dinosaur that only has one term left? Why? Because they want to maintain the establishment. That's why the Democrats have a 19% approval rating. Oh, she's 77. I was close. Thank you, Mario. Yeah. And when they interviewed Janet Mills, what did she say? I'll only be good for one term, then I have to retire. Why do you want to put somebody in there that's so old they can only do one term? You really want her at 81 years old? Remember what happened to Feinstein? She was half dead and they're pushing around in a cart, basically, a wheelchair. She wasn't even showing up for votes. It was like Weekend at Bernie's. It was an absolute joke. I like Tallarico. I do wish he fought with a little more tenacity, a little more anger. But I like what he's doing. I give the man credit. Like the guy a lot. And who I have a lot of respect for is, what's his name? Allred Cullen. He was running for the Senate, and he saw that Jasmine Crockett was running, and he stepped out. I have a lot of respect for that. A lot of respect for Allred Cullen. Because he saw how people really like her, and he stepped out of the way. That, in my opinion, is what we need more of. It shouldn't be about winning. And I know that I used my situation with Eric Swalwell, but when I asked him to work with me on a general strike, that's what I got from him. He was more worried about winning the midterms than fighting for this country. He was willing to let democracy die, but not go on a general strike. He just was. He was more worried about the Democratic establishment. People that are elected aren't supposed to serve the Democratic establishment. They're supposed to serve us. Joe Rogan is criticizing Donald Trump. Well, Joe Rogan voted for a president that is an adjudicated rapist. So I would love for any reporter to ask Joe Rogan, Joe, if Donald Trump had sexually assaulted Jean Carroll and she was your mom, would you still have voted for him? Watch his face. And that's the problem with this country. We have too many people that are selfish and they only give a crap when something personally affects them. Isn't that loving thy neighbor? Even if you're not a person of faith or believe the Bible. Isn't that just a good way to live your life? Yeah. It just is. And that's why when people don't understand, Paul, why do you care? And when the very few times that I talk to MAGA, well, how did your life get better? It didn't. In the last election, I voted for Harris. You know what? I'm a small business owner in California. I was probably going to pay more taxes. But you know who I voted for? The women in here. I voted for the immigrants. I voted for universal health care. I voted to increase minimum wage. I paid for my college. It's right up here. I went to school for college. When I had 2 kids, it took me 6 years to get a 2-year degree because I could only take 2 classes a week and I did homework on Saturdays. But you know what? I voted to help people get out of college debt because I'm not a selfish prick. And you have too many people that only care if something benefits them. I literally voted for every other person in this country. And it's rich, isn't it? Going back to my thumbnail, that every 4 years, Republicans ask themselves one question. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Not are we better off, are you better off? If I ran, that's probably my platform. What kind of a shitty person am I if I'm in a court with 9 neighbors and I see them all foreclosing their houses, out of work? But you know what? I'm doing great, so I'm going to vote Republican because I'm a selfish prick and I'm a Christian. What kind of person is that only votes for themselves? And they wrap it up in this nationalism and all this other stuff. It's selfishness. They pretend that to build your wealth in heaven, where moth and rust can't get, right? Doing good things, being kind. But what did they do? They're whores to capitalism. I got more money. I got more taxes on tips. I got no tax on overtime. Yeah, I got money. Screw morality. Screw if he assaults little girls or rapes women or causes insurrections. Who cares? I got more money. Me, me, me. And we have too many people in this country that only care about themselves. And it's really sad. It's really, really sad. When I make my videos, and even my in-laws say, Paul, why do you get so mad? And I ask this question, and I'm going to say this until God takes me home one day. If E. Jean Carroll was my mom, would you be pissed off? You're damn right. If Adriana Smith was my sister, would I be pissed off? You're damn right. So why should I act any less angry because it's somebody else? It could be somebody in this chat. It could have been your mom or your sister or your aunt. When we start giving a damn about each other, not just when something affects us, then that's when we're going to progress as a society. But we still have too many selfish people living in this country that are stuck in culture wars and white supremacy. Who's my favorite Republican? Probably Adam Kinzinger. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. Now, I got to be honest, I don't know what his take is on women's rights, and I am open to voting to anybody on the ticket. If you take away a woman's right to choose what she does with your body, you can F off. That is my red line. Hard stop, end of story. That is non-negotiable. That's the end. I don't care what I don't care if my paycheck doubles. I don't care. Because I care about somebody else. I'm not a selfish prick. By the way, women in Texas, the only study that I can find was women in Texas, since Roe v. overturned, have a 56% increased mortality rate. It's 2 times for white women and 3 times for black women. That's really pro-life. Really pro-life. If you guys haven't seen my video, watch, was it yesterday? Yesterday. Adriana Smith. You know, these great Christians. At 9 weeks pregnant, she got I think it was a blood clot in her brain. I don't want to speak out of turn, but unfortunately she had complications from pregnancy and she was brain dead. Horrible. But because her fetus, which they later named Chance, had a heartbeat, they forced her to stay on a fucking ventilator for 4 months. 4 months. While her son came in there and visited her. Let me see if I can find. I had a. Hold on. There was a picture somewhere. Hold on, let me find the picture really quick. There's some. Can't find one. But there was one of. Hold on a second. Here it is. This is her son. Chance. Hold on. Yeah. That's her son. He's been in the hospital for 6 months. You can't just use a woman as a fucking incubator and then expect the baby to come out healthy. It's disgusting. It's vile. Where's all the pro-life Christians out there? I just want to know. Where are you? This family's trying to raise $250,000 because you're so pro-life. It's funny. Once you force a baby to give birth, you don't give a damn about them. Not a damn. It's sick. Pro-life, my ass. They don't care if Chance grows up and has special needs. They won't give him universal health care. They don't care if Chance is murdered in a school. They don't care if he has a living wage. They don't care if he can afford housing. And they sure as hell don't care if he has clean water and clean air because, it's a Democratic hoax. But you're pro-life because Jesus told me to force that woman to live the handmaid's tale. It's disgusting. And every day her 6-year-old came in and said, why is mommy sleeping while she's hooked up to a ventilator? It's disgusting. But tell me that little child there But yeah, that's really bad. But I got no tax on overtime. So Trump 28. I mean, I just seriously, I want you to just think about the sickness in these people. They were fine with all this. But hey, as long as I got no tax on tips, that's just a cost of doing business. I want you to think about the moral depravity in these fake Christians. And Amber Thurman. Yeah. Hey, you're pro-life. You know why she's dead? Because they wouldn't give her the health care she needed. She died from complications from her pregnancy. But praise Jesus. But hey, I got no tax on overtime, so I don't give a damn. Who cares? Me. Praise Jesus. Go to church or you're going to burn in hell. Right? So Christ-like. Let me find, hold on, one more thing here. Here it is. I'll show you one last thing. I'll show you the mortality rates in Texas. Infant deaths in Texas rose 13% after Roe. It was 1.8% across the rest of the country. In the absence of the abortion ban, these fatality anomalies are often diagnosed prenatally and parents may choose to terminate their pregnancy. So basically, what's happening in Texas is even though these women might have a prenatal anomaly with the baby in their womb, they're forcing these women to give birth to babies that they know are going to die. It's sick. They're sick people. They're sick. They just are. But praise Jesus. Why did I make a video? What? Because the reality is that MAGA would vote. If Donald Trump ran at 28 with Jeffrey Epstein, if he was alive, they would vote for him. Because they don't care about morality. If Donald Trump ran with Jeffrey Dahmer or Hitler, they would vote for him. Hey, no one's perfect. I don't vote for the man. I like his policies. Well, Hitler murdered 7 million Jews. Well, I don't agree with that. And you know what? I looked at the evidence, and I'm not exactly sure that's what happened. I think that's fake news. But even if it is, you know what? Hey, don't we all deserve a second chance? How about Benito Mussolini? You know, yeah, he enslaved 130,000 people in his country. But you know what? I really like his policy on no tax on tips. Right? Like, literally, he could eat a baby on TV and they say, hey, who am I to judge? Only God's the judge. But I can't vote for Pete Buttigieg because he's gay. This is who they are. The whole point of the video is to show that there's no moral there's no moral bottom. There's just not. If Trump is on the Epstein list 80 times, this is what's going to happen, right? That's not me. That was Biden. Biden put it on there with his auto pen. It's fake news. This is all rigged. It's all Antifa. Or then they'll go, well, just because he was on there 80 times doesn't mean that he did anything to the 13-year-old girls. You're welcome, TNJ. And then if he's there, well, you know what? Maybe he was baptizing them because, you know, Jesus sent him here. I mean, and then even if he did it, even if he was found guilty in a court of law, well, I did my own research and I don't believe it because this one person said this one thing on this one date that doesn't line up. This is who they are. Yeah, you're right. But Biden. You cannot have a conversation with people like this. They think that the world is flat. They think that the Democrats are from the devil. They think that Antifa is a terrorist organization. They think that ivermectin is some like cure for COVID. I mean, they think that the election was stolen We don't even agree on the same facts. That's the problem. We live in a different country. They don't want to admit what he is. He is a horrible human being. But because he's white, they overlooked it. But Biden's not even here. If you had to choose, who do you think is worse, Dementia, Dawn, or the Founding Fathers? Oh my God. I would say this. I completely disagree with the Founding Fathers owning slaves. It's disgusting. I actually believe that we should rewrite the Constitution to improve the Second Amendment, where people are safe, and where the 3/5 clause isn't in there. If we want to be a great country, then we need to change the foundation of it. I will say this. The Founding Fathers actually meant to do something good with the country. Now, do I agree with how they did it? Not at all. Not when it comes to slavery and the 3/5 clause. Completely disgusting and gross and vile. But I think their intentions were good for the country. Yeah, did they do it in a messed up way? Absolutely, 100%. But I think they meant, well, Donald Trump just doesn't care. If it doesn't affect him, he doesn't care. He doesn't even want the country to be better. I could disagree with Joe Biden. I didn't agree with everything he did. But in my heart, I feel like he actually wanted to make the country better. I felt like Romney wanted to make the country better. I felt like McCain wanted to make the country better, and Obama. He doesn't want the country to be better. He doesn't care. I can have bad policy, but what I can't do is bad morality. Megyn Kelly would vote for Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, she is another right-wing person that has, what they've done is, with social media, they have figured out that being angry and pissed off is a profitable business. Making white people mad, getting into culture wars, making them think that their traditional family, their white values is going away, is a profitable business. It just is. Peter Thiel is behind Project 2025. He wants a white, straight Christian America, just like Stephen Miller, just like the Heritage Foundation. They want it to go pre-segregation. To segregation. I really believe that. There is part of this country that actually want that again. That's the sad part. And until we address the head of the snake, we're not going to progress. Oh, why did Kelly not get suspended? Because she's a white woman and she's on the right. There's two standards. If Joe Biden or Barack Obama did a fraction of the inch that this white supremacist does in the White House, the world would be coming to an end. Fox News would be spinning it 28 hours a day. It's just the truth. Sadly. So, anyway, any more questions before I run off, guys? I might do something on Saturday if we're not doing a Christmas tree. Project 2025, it's complicated. It's like 800 something pages, but this is the reality. Project 2025 and Trump and J.D. Vance and Peter Thiel want a straight white Christian America. That's really what it boils down to. That is the fundamental thing. Oh, in case I didn't show you guys the other day, because I didn't have a lot of people on here. Check it out. I got to make a video on YouTube, but look. How cool is that, huh? Can you see that? Pretty cool, huh? It's all shiny. You know, I'm a little bummed about. It's plastic. Listen. Like, I hit 100,000. You can't make a metal freaking award? Come on, man. How cheap are you? Well, no, it's not my award. It's kind of our award. I mean, I do this for you guys, not for me. So, all right. Well, there's my little button there. Thank you, guys. I know it took a while. So, all right, my friends. Have a great day. Keep your heads up. Have a cup of hot chocolate. Thank you. Watch The Holiday. Best Christmas movie. The Holiday. It is the best. All right. Bye-bye.